Welcome to another edition of Upon Further Review.
Upon further review,
And in this edition, we'll be talking about the New England Patriots at the Minnesota Vikings and their Week 2 matchup, as they'll be playing on September 14th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can catch that on your local CBS affiliates. So the Patriots lost in Miami in Week 1, and now they have to go on the road once again for the second week of the season to Minnesota. Minnesota had an impressive win over the St. Louis Rams in St. Louis. So they won big time. So even before we heard about Adrian Peterson and him being deactivated for Sunday's game, which I'm sure if you haven't heard about yet, I'm sure you're going to look up and find out why. I'm not going to get into that. But AP's not playing in this game, and even before that was the news that became available, I still thought that the Patriots would win this game. And now that AP is not playing, it's pretty much a sure thing, I would have to say. Already with them, I thought the Patriots would hold them, and really the threat for the Vikings, their offense runs through Cordarrelle Patterson. He is the star. He's the playmaker of the Minnesota Vikings. He had a huge game against the Rams. He had 102 rushing yards off of just 3 carries. He was just phenomenal on those end arounds. He also picked up some yards in the air, only 5 yards, only 26 yards off of 3 receptions. Of course, he had those 2 20-plus yard runs out of those 3 carries, and one of which was a touchdown. Cordarrelle Patterson is just a huge threat. Of course, the Rams were kind of easy pickings. I did actually think the Rams would win that game, but Minnesota was going against a team that lost their second string quarterback, who was starting because their first string quarterback went down the preseason, and they ended up playing their third string quarterback throughout the whole second half. They actually started doing better once the third string quarterback got in there, but they were so far behind at that point that they couldn't catch up to the Vikings. Instead, Cordarrelle Patterson just shredded through that Rams defense. And the Rams defense, they're good up front, but they're weak in the secondary, and they really were no match for Patterson. And it was those, 2 big, huge plays were really what put the Vikings up, put them ahead, and then they continued to not make mistakes. Matt Castle is pretty good at not making mistakes, but he's up against a much tougher defense in the Patriots. And even though the Patriots lost to Miami, and a lot of people are down on the Patriots after being so high up on them, going into Week 1, everybody's picking the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl. Then they lose to Miami in Miami, which Miami always gives them a tough game. And all of a sudden, everybody's going, that Tom Brady's done, and this is the worst he's ever been. Well, hey, it's 1 week. It's an early season, and you can believe that Tom Brady is going to come out fired up this week in Minnesota and have a huge game. He's going to put up 300 yards. He's going to get 3 touchdowns. He's going to be connected with Gronk. You saw already he was connected with Gronk a little bit. Gronk hadn't played in quite some time. He's been out, I believe it was 14 weeks, but he, coming off of that injury. So, it takes time to get back in the swing of things. And I believe that they'll be running the ball better. They had some trouble running the ball against Miami, but they shouldn't have so much trouble against the Vikings. Vikings defense is not as good as everybody seems to believe after they shut down a very weak Rams offense that, as you said, was playing their third string quarterback throughout the second half. So the Patriots should actually be a much more formidable opponent for the Vikings, and they're not going to have much running game to speak of. AP didn't really put up much numbers as it was in Week 1. He only rushed for 75 yards, but his average was only 3.6 off of 21 carries, no touchdowns. It's not so bad, but not so good either, especially against the Rams. I thought, the Rams were not supposed to be so good, but he didn't really even get the century mark. And he's not even playing in this game. And Patterson, he picked up those big yards on the ground on those end arounds, but now that AP's not there as a decoy, the defense is going to be able to key on Patterson. And So, Bill Belichick is going to be game planning for that threat because Patterson's a playmaker. And if the Vikings are going to have any chance of winning this game, it's going to be Cordell Patterson. It's also Greg Jennings is going to have a huge game. He did already at the one touchdown, but 58 yards, not really big numbers. I mean, that's the thing. They didn't put up really that impressive numbers, even though they got a lot of points. But 170 passing yards for Matt Castle, I mean, good that he took care of the ball. He had 2 touchdowns, but against the Patriots, you're going to have to score more. You're going to have to put up more yards. And without AP, they're going to be having to rely heavily on the passing game. And Matt Castle used to play for Bill Belichick and the Patriots, so they know him very well. And they're going to be able to shut him down and game plan for Matt Castle. It really shouldn't be much of a problem for the Patriots, and they're going to expose the Vikings for what they are and show everybody the Vikings really are not a threat in the NFC North. They can't compete with the Packers or the Lions, maybe the Bears, but that's what they're going to play for third place. The Patriots are still in the running for the AFC East. Of course, the Dolphins dealt them a huge blow in Week 1, but they're going to even up their record right here in Week 2 at 1-1. They should win this game easily. Expect them to win by 14 points. What do you think? Leave me a comment below. Very interesting to hear what other people think about this game, and I will reply to you. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show.